Welcome to another weekly edition of our StaySmart newsletter and podcast, brought to you by Vicinity Corporate Housing, where we're trying to keep you updated on what we see happening in the industry. I hope this information is helpful to you and to your company. Obviously, I'm coming to you today from Memphis, Tennessee. It's a beautiful day here in Memphis, but I have some good information, so I'm just going to dive right in. The first article comes from about Blueground announcing an additional $45 million in funding, their Series D funding. So Blueground's been around since 2013, in the corporate housing, midterm rental, property tech segment. They've had some massive expansion in the last 4 or 5 years, some acquisitions, whether it was Nestpick or Travelers Haven or other companies they've acquired. Obviously, they're working on a franchise model in Japan. So there's a lot going on at Blueground. They're announcing, this funding, probably going to go into more expansion, see their technology, hopefully profitability. I would assume that's what they're working on, is trying to get to profitability, because I think that end goal is an IPO. I think that right now they're trying to get more funding to continue that expansion, kind of scale up more and get to a profitability level, and then roll that into an IPO maybe in the next couple of years. So interesting information there. And then we have another article in this kind of space about Sonder. Obviously, Sonder in the short-term rental segment, but they, property tech company that's been around a long time. One of the kind of original companies, struggling a little bit financially. So they've been trying to renegotiate some of their apartment leases, some of their apartments that they lease throughout the country. They're in a master lease model, so they sign long-term leases, do an arbitrage model where they have short-term stays on those master leases. So they're looking to renegotiate those, or either try to get new rent amounts or get out some of those leases. What's interesting in this article is that some of their competitors are actually taking over those leases. So whether that's Placemaker or Cost of Living, they're taking over these agreements. And it's interesting because Placemaker and Cost have a little bit different business model than Sonder. They do more of a management agreement instead of Sonder's master lease agreement. So the master lease arbitrage model is a little riskier. So interesting to see if maybe Sonder's trying to switch and get into more of that management agreement, or if they're just trying to get out some of these agreements and try to get to profitability. And then the next article is about Landing. Landing is a, midterm rental, furnished apartment rental company. It's been around for a little bit. They rolled out, their autopilot program recently, and they just announced their $30 million acquisition of Barsala, kind of a tech company that does furnished apartments for, or shows multifamily apartment communities how to do furnished apartments. It's really kind of a management agreement. We kind of talked about this in the previous article. Landing, I think, is looking to get a little bit out of the master lease model and into something that's a little bit more of a management agreement model. They acquired Barsala, some of that tech stack that they're going to bring on with them, and that founder of Barsala is going to stay on with Landing to kind of run that division. Really interesting information there. And then the final article we have is about out of Florida, short-term rental, vacation rental regulations that are actually on Governor DeSantis' desk right now. But what's interesting about this is that they're trying to shift those regulations from the local level to the state level. We've seen a lot of regulations, whether it was New York or Dallas or Phoenix in the last year. So all have been at the city level, all of those regulations that got put in place. But Florida here, with this legislation, is looking to change that to where it'd be at the state level instead of the local level. It's up to cities or counties or regions to be able to make that. That would be a state decision to make on those regulations. So I think that's really interesting. I'm not sure that's the right approach. I don't think there's ever going to be a nationwide regulation around short-term rentals. So I don't know if going from the local level to the state level makes sense. But I think this will be interesting to watch. We'll, in the next couple of weeks, I think Governor DeSantis is going to either sign this bill or veto it. So more information to come on this. But those are the articles that I have this week. That's what I see happening in the industry. Love to hear what you see happening in the industry, whether it's corporate housing or short-term rental, vacation rental. Let us know what you see out there and what you'd like to hear us talk about. But that's what I see transitioning this week. Take care, everyone.